Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid. Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And undouching your face, man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
All right, strap in, because today we're diving into Bill Maher completely torching the Democrats. Figuratively, of course, but the burn was so savage you could practically feel the heat. It was one of those uncommon political moments where humor and honesty teamed up, took a victory lap, and left the DNC scratching their heads about what just went down. Here's the backdrop. Democrats have a serious issue, and it's a massive one. They're losing ground with American men, particularly those in the working class. And instead of sitting down with these voters and asking, what's happening? How can we win your confidence back? They decided to throw an upscale gathering at the Ritz-Carlton in Half Moon Bay, south of San Francisco, serving mini lobster rolls, heirloom tomato carpaccio, and seared sea bass. Because nothing screams, we understand you, quite like luxury seafood in a glitzy ballroom.
To your point, I want to get to something very important. How many know what SAM stands for? It's a new phrase. It stands for Speaking with American Men, SAM. This is the new movement by the Democratic Party. They lost the men vote a lot last time, so they had a meeting up at the Ritz-Carlton in Half Moon Bay, south of San Francisco. I'm not making this up, where they served mini lobster rolls and had heirloom tomato carpaccio and seared sea bass in their conclave to decide how to win back the American man.
Seriously, you couldn't invent this if you tried, and Mark definitely wasn't going to let them slide. He shredded the whole spectacle, calling out the glaring disconnect. You're trying to win back guys who drink Miller Lite and fix their own truck engines, but your strategy session looks like it was planned by Gwyneth Paltrow's lifestyle brand. It's like hosting a firefighter appreciation banquet, but making it a black tie sushi affair. Sure, the crowd stays polite, but deep down they're asking, who even are you people? And here's the kicker. The DNC didn't just gather for lobster and small talk. They slapped an official label on it. SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, which, let's be real, already sounds like a painfully dull HR workshop. And the breakout sessions, that's where it went from odd to comedy gold. One was literally titled, How to Keep Your Liberal Base While Posing with Guns on Your Christmas Card. Another was Best Protein Powder for a Clean Bulk. Honestly, you couldn't script satire this flawless.
Now, look.
It's because we used to have conferences at Harvard to figure out what the working class needs, and so now we're moving west.
You gotta own who you are. I get it. These are the mini lobster roll people. But they had this symposium, and we got a hold of what was that. This is Speaking with American Men. This is a real thing that they're doing, and they have these seminars. Would you like to hear what was said? Okay. These are ways that they want to. Seminars that they had to try to win back the typical American male, like how to keep your liberal base while putting guns on your Christmas card. That was one that they wanted to.
Picture this. Some completely out-of-touch political consultant strolls up to a voter and says, hey man, we get that you're struggling with gas prices, inflation, maybe even job security, but have you tried this new plant-based pea protein? It's awesome for muscle gains. Right, because nothing screams winning elections like random workout advice nobody asked for. And they didn't stop there. Apparently, they even included a session on Bud Light etiquette. When to sip it, when to chug it, which if you've been awake the last couple of years, you know, is unintentionally hysterical considering Bud Light's own PR fiasco over cultural blunders. It's like they're accidentally spoofing themselves.
Best protein powder for a clean bulk and other dude conversation starters. Bud Light etiquette, when to drink it, when to shoot it.
Maher's underlying point is no joke. The Democrats aren't just off target. They've completely walked off the shooting range. Instead of addressing real concerns like the economy, rising costs, or America's global position, they're busy role-playing fake, guy talk to court voters they clearly don't understand. The end result feels less like genuine outreach and more like a political influencer desperately trying to trend on TikTok. And then came the fishing bit. Yes, fishing, a pastime described as a weird hobby for working-class men who apparently should be playing pickleball instead. Let's stop there for a second. If your strategy meeting involves mocking the very activities of the people you're trying to persuade, it's time to scrap the whole plan. That's basically the same as running an ad that says, "Vote for me, even though I think everything you enjoy is dumb."
Fishing, the bizarre hobby working class men enjoy instead of pickleball. The only scene that you're obsessed with in Titanic, hint, it has tits.
And just when you thought it couldn't sink any lower, Maher highlighted another so-called voter reconnection tactic, this time referencing Titanic, specifically the nude scene, because apparently the DNC's new playbook is politics crossed with a Maxim magazine spread. If your big idea to win back male voters is leaning on boob jokes instead of real policy, you're not running a campaign, you're hosting open mic night at the saddest comedy club on earth. But Maher didn't just stop at ridiculing their PR circus. He drilled into the larger issue, the left's fixation on identity politics, virtue signaling, and social media-approved activism, all while sidelining the kitchen table concerns people actually live with. We're talking inflation, jobs, public safety. The bread and butter issues elections are usually fought over. And then he brought up Joe Rogan. Maher noted that Rogan, once celebrated by the left as the cool, relatable voice in their corner, has pretty much abandoned them. Why? Because even he can't recognize what the modern left has morphed into.
Flea versus Bigfoot, mythical fight scenarios to man up your Joe Rogan appearance.
A hyper-woke, self-satirizing movement where masculinity gets treated like an illness and saying anything even mildly off-script earns you cancellation. Meanwhile, Rogan's out there hunting, lifting, and having raw, unfiltered conversations, and surprise, millions of people actually respect that. But here's the real punchline. This isn't only about men. It's about voters overall who are fed up with being talked down to, boxed in with labels, or lectured about what their priorities are supposed to be.
Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And, undouching your face, man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
Maher's roast is really more of a wake-up call. You can't keep lecturing people instead of engaging with them and still expect their loyalty. He drove this home with the example of a heavily Latino congressional district along the Texas border. For decades, it was solidly Democratic, but last year it flipped Republican. Why? The losing campaign manager admitted, "We gave up a reliably Democratic congressional seat for no reason at all." Maher, though, laid out the deeper truth. Those voters stopped viewing the Democrat as their representative. They wanted someone who would stand up for them, not just prioritize migrants crossing the border.
Last week, an 85% Latino congressional district on the border with Mexico, which had always voted heavily Democratic, flipped to the red team. And the campaign manager for the losing Democrat said, "We gave up a reliably Democratic congressional seat for no reason at all. We deserve to know why." Well, aside from your terrible attitude, I'm going to tell you why. Because these voters stopped seeing your candidate as their lawyer. That's why. Their message to you was, "I'm an American now. I'm here. Be my lawyer, not the lawyer for the migrants showing up in my backyard."
This is where it cuts deep. Maher basically said, if your political priority is championing non-citizens while ignoring the struggles of the actual citizens in your district, don't be shocked when they vote you out. And he's right, because when fentanyl overdoses are wiping out thousands of Americans every year, and you're more invested in Twitter fights over pronouns than tackling that epidemic people notice, and they remember. Speaking of pronouns, let's get into the Latinx disaster. It's a term dreamed up in academic bubbles and Twitter threads that almost no real Latino person uses or even likes. Poll after poll has shown that the overwhelming majority of Latinos don't identify with it, and plenty actually find it insulting. But Democrats ran with it like it was the greatest branding invention, since Yes We Can, Maher shredded this too, noting that even the nation's oldest Latino civil rights organization publicly rejected the term.
Every month I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales.
And yet, you still have figures like AOC defending it with lines like, "Gender is fluid, language is fluid." Sure, language changes over time, but so do voters, and lately, they've been shifting right out of the Democratic camp. This is where things got personal. Maher brought up a growing perception that AOC's Latina identity comes across to many as more of a political costume she put on when it was convenient. Fair or not, perception is everything in politics. If people think you're acting out a persona instead of living it authentically, they'll walk away. Authenticity isn't optional anymore. It's the currency of credibility. By the end of Maher's takedown, the message couldn't have been clearer. The Democrats' old strategy of pandering to niche activist causes, slapping trendy language on their brand, and assuming voters will obediently fall in line just doesn't work anymore.
Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
People are noticing. Independent voices are louder than ever, and the cracks in the Democrats' game plan are hard to miss. The economy under Biden is a mess, the borders in chaos, America's credibility overseas is slipping, and the left's response? More branding, more identity politics, and more lectures. It's like trying to fix a roof leak by slapping a fresh coat of paint on the living room walls. At some point, you've got to ask, who exactly are they talking to? Because it's definitely not the middle-class families struggling to cover groceries. It's not the border towns overwhelmed by illegal crossings. And it's sure not the working-class guys they're supposedly winning back with Bud Light etiquette workshops. Maher's monologue wasn't just funny, it was a reality check. And the reflection wasn't flattering. If Democrats don't find a way to reconnect with real people instead of just catering to the loudest voices on Twitter, they're going to keep bleeding support. And no amount of mini lobster rolls will rescue them. So here's my question for you. Do you think Democrats are truly clueless about why voters are leaving, or do they just not care? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm betting plenty of you have your own stories of being talked down to or brushed aside by politicians who claim they're on your side. And if you liked this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more straight-shooting commentary, because at the rate things are going, there's going to be a lot more political comedy gold to unpack. What Maher pulled off here was rare. He didn't just go for cheap laughs. He cut through the noise and called out his own camp. And whether you agree with him or not, you've got to respect the guts it takes to do that in today's climate. That's my take. Now it's your turn. See you in the next one.